All right, everybody, welcome to another deep dive. If you are taking anatomy right now, this one is for you. Today, we are diving deep into the adrenal glands. These tiny organs, they have such a huge role in how our bodies work. It's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. They're fascinating, really. We've got some excellent sources here that break down everything from the different parts of the adrenal gland to the hormones they make, and of course, why those hormones are so important.
It's perfect for those midterms coming up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So get ready, everyone, because we'll be covering those hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, of course. But get this. We'll even talk about some hormones you might not expect to come from the adrenal glands, like testosterone.
It's true.
I know, right?
It just goes to show you how these tiny little glands, how much they do, they are so important for keeping our bodies in balance, responding to stress, even things like salt balance. They're multi-talented.
So, okay, let's break it down, start with the basics.
Yeah.
We've got two main parts to the adrenal gland, right? The cortex and the medulla. Now, the cortex, that's the outer layer, right?
Yeah, it is. It's like if you think of an avocado.
Okay, yeah.
The cortex is the fleshy part, the good stuff. And the medulla, that's like the pit in the middle.
All right, I like that.
Each part has its own job, its own thing that it does.
I love a good food analogy. Okay, so let's start with that outer layer, the cortex. Our endocrine adrenal source breaks it down even further, saying that it's divided into 3 layers, each with a specific function.
Yeah, that's right. So if you think about it like going from the outside in, right, the outermost layer, that's called the zona glomerulosa. Big word, I know.
Yeah.
But this layer, it's all about what we call mineralocorticoids. And the main player here, the star of the show, is aldosterone.
Aldosterone. Now, this is the hormone that's involved in like the salt balance, right? It tells the kidneys to hold on to sodium.
You got it. And that's really important for regulating blood pressure, making sure you have the right amount of fluid in your body, things like that. But here's a fun fact for you.
Okay, I love fun facts. Lay it on me.
Aldosterone even affects how much sodium you taste. It actually increases the sensitivity of your taste buds to salt.
Whoa, so it's not just like internally regulating the salt, it's also affecting how we experience salty flavors. That's really wild.
It is. The body is amazing.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next on our adrenal cortex tour?
All right, so moving inward, we get to the zona fasciculata.
Ooh, another big word.
I know, right?
Sounds important.
It is. This is the layer that's mainly responsible for producing glucocorticoids, especially one you've probably heard of, cortisol.
Oh, yeah, cortisol. The stress hormone. I'm pretty sure anyone who's ever taken a college exam knows what that feels like.
Exactly. But, cortisol, it actually does way more than just respond to exam stress.
Really? I guess what else does it do?
Well, think of it like this. Cortisol is kind of like a master regulator. It affects your blood sugar levels, helps manage inflammation in the body. It even impacts how your body uses energy.
So it's working in the background, keeping all these systems in check. Pretty important job.
Super important.
Okay, so we've got aldosterone, we've got cortisol. What about the innermost layer of the cortex? What's that one called again?
That one's the zona reticularis. And this layer, it makes what are called androgens.
Androgens.
And get this, that includes testosterone.
Hold on. Testosterone. I thought that was like mainly a male hormone. You're telling me my adrenal glands are making testosterone too?
You got it. And while it is the primary male sex hormone, the adrenal glands actually make it in both men and women. And, it's not just all about reproduction either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, these androgens, they also contribute to things like your libido and muscle mass for both sexes.
Wow. I never realized how much testosterone was coming from my adrenal glands. It's involved in way more than I thought. Okay, so that was a whirlwind tour of the cortex, the avocado flesh, so to speak.
Right.
What about that avocado pit? The medulla.
Ah, yes, the adrenal medulla. This is where the action is. It's in charge of producing adrenaline, which is also known as epinephrine.
Oh, yeah, adrenaline. Isn't that the hormone that kicks in when, you have to give a presentation in front of a huge class?
Exactly. And the adrenal medulla is it's the control center for that fight or flight response.
Right.
When you encounter a stressful situation, whether it's that presentation or almost getting hit by a car, your adrenal medulla, it releases this surge of adrenaline.
Yeah, totally.
It gets your heart racing, your breathing gets faster, your senses are on high alert.
You're ready to run.
Right. It preps you to either face the challenge or to get out of there fast.
That's amazing how our bodies can just react so quickly. So let's recap. We've got the adrenal glands controlling salt balance, our stress response, how we use energy, even libido and muscle mass. It's incredible how much impact these tiny organs have.
I really do.
I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing.
And we can't forget about how all these hormones actually interact with each other, right? Like, think about that stress response. The cortex, it kicks in with cortisol, and the medulla, it pumps out adrenaline. And they're both working together to help you adapt to that stress, no matter if it's short-term or long-term stress.
Yeah, that makes sense. But how does the body know, like, how much of each hormone to release? It can't just be a constant flood of hormones all the time.
That's a great question, and the answer is it all comes down to this thing called a negative feedback loop.
A negative feedback loop.
Yeah, think of it like a thermostat for your hormones, right?
Okay, yeah.
So when cortisol levels rise, that signals back to the brain to slow down production.
Oh, I see. So it's like self-regulating.
Exactly. The body is always striving for that balance.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It really is.
So what does all this mean for our listeners out there, for the students who are, knee-deep in their anatomy textbooks right now?
Well, if you think about it, understanding the adrenal glands, it's key to understanding how the body functions as a whole. They're involved in so many crucial processes.
It's not just about memorizing the names for a test.
Oh, yeah.
It's understanding how they actually work.
Right, exactly.
So I guess as you're studying for those exams, I want you to think about this. What happens when these perfectly balanced systems that we've been talking about, what happens when they don't work right?
Ooh, yeah.
Think about conditions like Addison's disease, where the adrenal glands just don't make enough hormones, or Cushing's syndrome, where there's way too much cortisol being produced. These conditions, they can have a huge impact on someone's health.
They really can.
It's not just theoretical, right? This stuff matters.
Absolutely. If you can understand how the adrenal glands normally function, how those hormones work, then you can start to understand how those imbalances actually lead to disease. And that's powerful knowledge to have.
It really is. All right, so for everyone out there hitting the books, remember this. Your adrenal glands, they're more than just tiny organs.
For sure.
They are a crucial part of what keeps your body functioning properly.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that's another deep dive in the books. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.